Hello YouTube, how is y'all's day going? Today we are doing a trade breakdown, a DeAndre Hopkins trade breakdown. This is my first trade breakdown ever on my YouTube channel, so I'd really appreciate it if you guys went ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It would be amazing. Also, make sure you're following me on Twitter and TikTok. The link is down below in the description. Let's get into it. So first comes the money breakdown, because this is very important and it helps you kind of decipher what teams will be willing to do. So first and most important, whatever team trades for him, or if the Cardinals decide to keep him, DeAndre Hopkins has a 2-year, $43.3 million contract. That is left, so whatever team ends up trading for him, or like I said, if the Cardinals end up keeping him, they will inherit that contract. If they trade him before June 1st, then they clear $8.15 million from the cap space. If they trade him after June 1st, they clear 19.45. So I think if the Cardinals are smart, they wait until after June 1st, but there's lots of other factors to this, and they might need to get him off the team sooner. His 2023 cap hit is 19.45, and his 2024 cap hit is 14.915. If the Cardinals decide to keep DHOP, his 2023 cap hit goes up to a $30.7 million cap hit. So a lot on the space there. Moving on, his value. So this is something that I think a lot of people are kind of speculating about, and I've seen about every take under the sun on this. Some people say that they think he's worth as low as a third rounder. I would say that's really extreme. I know he got suspended this past season for, using illegal drugs, performance enhancing drugs, steroids, stuff like that. So I think that might have hurt his stock a little bit, but this man is 31. So I understand, seeing some older wide receivers get traded. They're not quite at the same level, but I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has been balling for so many seasons, and I haven't noticed him really slowing down. So I think I think what the Cardinals will be asking for is a first round pick, which I honestly think is probably fair, but you also have to remember it's a huge contract, it's a huge cap hit. There are things that teams aren't going to like about this, and again, he is 31, and while it doesn't seem like he's slowing down, teams are probably going to be less likely to offer first round picks for this. So but that's the thing, is that I think I kind of think opposite, but I can see both sides. But I think what the other team's price will be is most likely a second and a later round pick. Maybe you see, which you will see with some of my trade examples, that I do put some first in there. I try to put some later first, because I think that some teams, depending on how desperate they are to get better at the wide receiver position, can do that. So moving on, we have our first trade. This is the honorable mention. So we have our top 5 trades. This is an honorable mention going to the Jets. I haven't seen almost anybody do this one. And I decided to go a little bit outside of the normal waters. One, because I think it's actually a realistic possibility. I definitely think it is. DeAndre Hopkins is a phenomenal wide receiver. The Jets have Garrett Wilson, who had a great rookie year. Elijah Moore wanted to get traded. There seems like there's some difficulties there. Not using him properly. He wants to be more of a slot. And then, you got Denzel Mims, who's just been riding the bench, probably wasted potential. But they're not using him. And so it seems like they have these guys that can get the job done, but they don't have that guy. And Garrett Wilson seems like he can be, but why not get 2 that guys? Corey Davis struggles with injuries every single year. He's inconsistent. So if you get DeAndre Hopkins and you have Garrett Wilson in the same offense, and you have that amazing run game when Breece Hall comes back, and Michael Carter, and who knows, maybe even James Robinson. I don't know what the Jets' plans are. I highly doubt that one, though. Then you look at it and you're like, well, what quarterback wouldn't want to come to a scenario like that, throwing to D-Hop and a probably offensive rookie of the year, definitely a candidate. So I just look at it like that, the top veteran quarterbacks that can come in, because the Jets are good. I mean, if you get the right guy, if Jimmy Garoppolo's been rumored to the Jets a ton, if you can get DeAndre Hopkins in here, I think this looks very appealing to him. He was having a great season before he got hurt. We've seen him lead them to the Super Bowl. Jimmy G gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I thought that would honestly be a smart move for the Jets, and I think it'd be well worth it. So I have the Cardinals trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Jets for a 2023 second, which is pick 43, and a 2024 sixth round pick. This I think is fair value for the Jets. I honestly think that they could offer more, but they have a higher pick in this year's draft, so I wasn't going to do that because that's definitely too much. I think they're at like pick 13, I want to say. I think they're at pick 13. So yeah, I think this would be about fair value, and I think this is definitely something. I think the Jets could offer more than this, but I wanted to explore different trade scenarios with different teams. So first one is the Jets with the honorable mention. Next we have the Denver Broncos. Yeah, no, this is one that I know people are gonna say is way out of left field, but truthfully, I do not know why. Russell Wilson finally had his good game against the Chargers. That offense needs some help. Courtland Sutton is a phenomenal receiver. Jerry Jeudy, even people didn't even realize Jerry Jeudy had a pretty good year. He had like 962 yards, almost had 1,000. And I think he had a pretty good amount of touchdowns too. I think it was like anywhere from 6 to 8. But yeah, Jerry Jeudy's doing his thing. You know, the tight end position is kind of a question. Their run game was a question this year, mostly just because Javonte Williams went out. But if you get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins in here, like they've already shown that they're not afraid to give draft picks away, and now they're rebuilding this team. But it's almost like if they can use these picks this year and get some firepower in free agency, it almost seems like they can be this team that everybody thought they would. And I think that if you get DeAndre Hopkins as an upgrade over Courtland Sutton, then you're heading that way. And I think that that's the course of action, because, you know, if you had something where you could maybe get off of Russ's contract in a couple seasons, and then it's maybe different situation. Maybe you're like really trying to move on, like completely blow everything up and restart the rebuild. But, you know, with this, I think that you get DeAndre Hopkins, like you just start building on top of it and try to get to where, you know, Russell Wilson can perform to an elite level again, and get that defense back to where it needs to be. So I think that this could be a very realistic option. Nobody wants to talk about that. But yeah, Cardinals trade DeAndre Hopkins, Broncos trade Courtland Sutton. So the Cardinals do get a younger wide receiver back, a little bit of a speedier wide receiver, which usually works good with Kyler Murray. And then they get a 4th round pick. So I kind of view Courtland Sutton as a second round pick, maybe 3rd. So just look at it like a 3rd and a 2023 4th. You know, the Cardinals get a 4th round pick. They get a younger receiver. They don't have to worry too much at that position. I think AJ Green is a free agent. So then you're really just left with Marquise Brown. And you know, I think replacing with another wide receiver. I think that the Cardinals, if I were the Cardinals, I would accept this trade. Like, you get the pick that you need because you need to start, like, you know, building some things, drafting some guys, but you're also getting a young wide receiver, and then you don't have to like fully invest and worry about that position. So I like that trade for the Broncos. Now we have the Dallas Cowboys. This one is where I decided to do a little bit of a steeper thing. So the Cowboys have always shown that they're not afraid to go out and get a guy. They're not afraid to go out and upgrade. And at first I was like, oh, maybe they trade Michael Gallup. But I was like, you know, I can see that, but I can see how the Cardinals could want a guy like Courtland Sutton. I don't know about Michael Gallup. I know that sounds so weird, because I'm not saying that Gallup would play bad with Kyler Murray or anything, but I don't know how interested the Cardinals would be, because I think they would rather have picks than a guy like Gallup. I think Courtland Sutton, you have a little bit more upside there. He fits the scheme a little bit better. But Gallup just seems like a worse DeAndre Hopkins. So I feel like they would rather just have the picks to do what they need to get the franchise back on track. So I went all out, and I gave the Cardinals trading DeAndre Hopkins, Cowboys trading their 2023 first, which right now it is projected pick 26. So it is a late round first. And yeah, I mean, like, I think that this would be phenomenal for the Cowboys, especially if you keep Gallup. I know that the money situation would be tight, but they've always been able to figure things out. I mean, the Saints, I think this past season were like, I want to say it was like negative 30 million in cap space or something like that, and then they got like to like a huge positive. Now it's probably going to bite them because it was restructures, meaning that they're just pushing money to the future. But, you know, they were able to figure it out. So I think that the Cowboys definitely can. And I think that this would be a guy, I mean, they were interested in Odell. You know, they've been interested in a lot of receivers. You get this paired with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. Like, what else does this offense need? You got a good run game. Offensive line is improving. Dak is a solid quarterback. Like, get him these crazy good weapons. Like, maybe this makes it the Cowboys' year. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I would like this for DeAndre Hopkins. I think it'd be a good situation for him. I think it'd put him in where he wants to be, which is getting to the playoffs. And I think he would upgrade that Cowboys offense a lot. So I think it'd be worth it for the Cowboys to trade even that much. You know, because sometimes you have to look at it like if these were the trade offers right here, like you're gonna evaluate what's best. So maybe they're like, we need another first, and the Cardinals they pick at 4, I believe. Is it 3? No, it's 3. They pick at 3. Now I'm second guessing that, but I'm almost positive it's 3. You know, get a late round first 2, and you know, just like start rebuilding this, getting this back to where you want it to be. You got a good quarterback, you know, all that stuff. So, yeah, I think that can be a realistic possibility. I think the Cowboys aren't afraid to take a shot. So yeah, I had the Cowboys. And then I had the Cleveland Browns. This one I have seen people put pretty frequently. I think because it definitely could be a need. You know, Amari Cooper is a great receiver. He's definitely a wide receiver 1. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Anthony Schwartz, guys like that. They aren't, you know, Donovan Peoples-Jones is to me is your slot or wide receiver 3 guy. He's not your wide receiver 2, and he is a great wide receiver. And he's actually, I think he was best yards after, one of the best yards after catch receivers. But I just think that I think he could have an accelerated role if he wasn't wide receiver 2. And you can't tell me that Donovan Peoples-Jones is on the same level of Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins. So my whole point is that Browns trade, you know, they've obviously not afraid to get rid of picks and help Deshaun Watson, who's his year's kind of been wonky. I think he'll probably get back on track. But if you get him a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, you know, old teammate, like, This would be a good reunion, and you know, Cleveland Browns offense would be that would be scary if I was in the AFC, especially AFC North. I would pretty scared about that offense. So Browns trade a 2023 second and a 2023 fifth, pick 43 and pick 141 for Cardinals DeAndre Hopkins. It's an earlier second. You know, like I said, you know, I think this is probably the appropriate value for DeAndre Hopkins. I think that the Browns could offer more, probably more like in the sense of another late round pick, like maybe like a second, a fourth, and a fifth, or maybe a second, a fifth, and a fifth. But they really can't afford. They need some young talent. Especially like on D-line and stuff like that. Like they got older guys like Jadeveon Clowney's definitely not coming back. If you've seen the stories with him, like they literally sent him home early. You know, they need to get some youngins in this in this defense and offense, and you know they got in positions to improve. And since they have so much less draft picks from the Deshaun Watson trade, then you know you kind of have to be careful, in my opinion, with where they are. So. That's where I have that with the Browns. And then here's one of my favorites, to the Ravens. This is where I think that the Ravens could finally pull the trigger, because we know, if you know anything about the Ravens, they need that guy, bro. They need that guy in the offense. Like, they've just been signing veterans, and they got Rashad Bateman in the first round, which he got injured this past year, but he was doing pretty well. You know, Devin Duvernay is a solid wide receiver, but now they're just like relying on guys like Demarcus Robinson, who, no hate to him, but like, you know, there's upgrades that need to be done, and they need to finally get Lamar that like wide receiver 1, like that true guy. And I don't understand why they just keep avoiding it. So this is a chance. Like, guys like this don't go on a trade market often. Like, like they did so well building up the defense last year, and all this offense really needs is a true wide receiver one. Bring Lamar back. If anything, if you're worried about the Lamar situation, getting a guy like D-Hop is definitely going to make him more interested in playing with you. Probably less money. Like, this is a way that you can help negotiate with the Lamar situation. Get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. So I have the Cardinals trading DeAndre Hopkins in a 2023 6, which is pick 179, and the Ravens trade their 2023 first. They have several other picks all throughout the draft, and they built that defense to high heaven, and the offense just needs that wide receiver. So why not like really risk it this time? Go get that guy for Lamar. So yeah, I have the Ravens trading their 2023 first, which is a projected pick 24. So I thought that was an interesting trade, and I think it's so like if there's one thing that I want to see this offseason, it's probably this trade. I don't know why, but I'm so tired of seeing Lamar not get like a just phenomenal receiver. And I think that if he does, like the Ravens could actually go far in the playoffs, because what ends up happening is the Ravens will do great in the regular season. Then they get to the playoffs, and you got these guys that are struggling to separate when secondaries are really locking down in the playoffs. And you've had a whole season to watch film on these guys, stuff like that. Defense coordinators are good at reading the plays. Like you need that guy that you can count on to get separation or go up and get the ball. And that's DeAndre Hopkins. And this would, to me, put the Ravens in like I wouldn't say Super Bowl, but definitely a favorite in the AFC. So yeah, I would love this. I would love this for the Ravens, and I think it would be I would literally go as far as to say is trading a first and a future like second or something would be worth it for the Ravens. Like I truly believe this is how much the Ravens need a guy like this, and it would just like take them all the way. So I love that trade. And then the most common one is everybody's been saying that they believe that, DeAndre Hopkins is a Patriot. And, I think there was a clip earlier this year where Hopkins talked to Bill Belichick, and he said something like, I would love to have you. I have big respect for a player like you. And he does honestly seem like a Patriot. I'm not even going to lie. So it would not shock me if that's what ends up happening. And I think the Patriots would trade a decent bit to get to him. But I went with a different approach on this one. And I've in my mock drafts, I've used Josh Uche in a trade before, but he's had such a good year. I think he's got 11.5 sacks or something like that. So he's like really, broken out. This Cardinals defense needs help, especially at edge rush. Chandler Jones is gone. It seems like they're letting Zach Allen go to free agency. J.J. Watt's retiring. Josh Uche is that guy and especially in that defensive scheme where they move guys all around all the time, like Isaiah Simmons, where they play him middle, outside linebacker, safety, like slot corner. Use a guy like Josh Uche where you really can just use him on all sorts of different, rushing techniques and stuff like that. So I think that would be really fun for the Cardinals defense. And if he can continue to play like he has with the Patriots, and that's a huge win. I view Josh Uche as a second round pick right now, if that helps people gauge where I'm putting value. So they're getting a second and a fourth. And I think that Josh Uche's young. He's 25, I believe. So, this is much needed help for the Cardinals. It's more of a proven guy so that you're not going and taking a shot out in the dark like in the draft. So yeah, I would think that the Cardinals would love this trade. I think that the Patriots would love this trade, get that. Mac Jones has shown some flashes like he could be that guy. Maybe if you get, top receiver in the league like DeAndre Hopkins, then you get, maybe you get primetime Mac Jones, So, yeah, that's basically it for the video. I haven't done anything like this. This is definitely a shorter video, looking like we're coming in around 20 minutes. But I really enjoyed it. I hope that I can start doing stuff more like this. I enjoyed it. I think stuff like this is fun to speculate where, players could end up, whether it's free agency or trades. But that is going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay safe and God bless.